In just a couple of weeks, Steven Spielberg releases his latest film, Disclosure Day, so I'm making a review series reviewing all of his movies, and this video is about to catch me if you can. This is one of those Steven Spielberg movies that kind of sneaks up on you. On the surface, it is the slick, stylish, entertaining cat and mouse story about a young conman who forges checks, impersonates pilots, doctors, and lawyers, and somehow keeps staying one step ahead of the FBI. But underneath all of that charm and fun, this is actually a very sad movie about a kid who is trying to outrun the collapse of his family. And that is where this movie really fits into Spielberg's filmography. One of the recurring themes in Steven Spielberg movies is broken families, absent fathers, divorce, and kids trying to deal with the emotional fallout of parents separating. That shows up in E.T., Close Encounters, Hook, Jurassic Park in a more subtle way, and even parts of Indiana Jones 3. Spielberg's own parents divorced when he was younger, and you can feel that personal pain in a lot of his stories. Catch Me If You Can might honestly be one of the clearest examples of that theme, because Frank Abagnale Jr. is not just running from the FBI, he's running from the fact that his family fell apart. That is what makes the movie more interesting than just a movie about a conman doing cool crimes. Frank is charming, sly, fast-talking, and extremely intelligent. He can walk to a room, read people instantly, figure out what they want to hear, and then become exactly the person they expect him to be. He is not just pretending to be a pilot or a doctor or a lawyer. In a weird way, he's trying on different versions of adulthood because his own childhood has been ripped out from under him. And Leonardo DiCaprio is fantastic in this role. This is one of those performances where he has to be likable, yet unlikable at the same time. Frank is not a good person, let's just be honest about that. He lies constantly, he steals money, he manipulates people, he takes advantage of trust, he causes real damage. But Leo plays him with so much charm, nervous energy, innocence, and sadness that you can't help but be pulled in by him. You know what he's doing is wrong, but you also understand that beneath all the expensive suits and fake credentials, he's still basically just a scared kid who wants his parents to get back together. And that is the emotional hook of the movie. Frank does not start this journey because he wants to be some criminal mastermind. He starts falling into it because his world collapses. His dad loses his status, his parents separate, and Frank does not know how to process that. So he runs. Then he discovers that lying gives him control, pretending gives him power. Becoming someone else lets him escape being the kid whose family broke apart, which is actually really sad. And Spielberg does a great job balancing that sadness with the entertainment value. The movie is fun, it moves fast, it has style, it has humor, it has great music, it has a bright retro early 1960s visual style. The opening credits alone are memorable, with an animated title sequence that feels like a classic caper film. It immediately tells you this is going to be playful, but Spielberg never lets the movie become empty. There's always a deeper loneliness under the surface. The cat and mouse game between Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks is one of the best parts of the movie. Hanks plays Carl Hanratty, the FBI agent chasing Frank, and he is the perfect opposite of him. Frank is loose, improvisational, charming, and constantly changing identities, whereas Carl is stiff, awkward, lonely, and completely committed to his job. He's not a cool movie FBI agent who kicks down doors and gives tough guy speeches. He's kind of dry, kind of nerdy, and very persistent, and that is what makes him work. Their dynamic is so entertaining because Frank keeps outsmarting Carl, but Carl never stops. He's always just a little behind, slowly figuring him out. And over time, their relationship becomes more than just criminal versus lawman. In a strange way, Carl becomes the closest thing Frank has to a stable father figure. That's what makes the movie work emotionally. Frank keeps calling Carl on Christmas Eve, and at first it feels like he's mocking him. But eventually you realize he's calling because he has nobody else. He's surrounded by people, money, hotels, uniforms, and fake identities, but he's completely alone. Carl understands that before almost anyone else does. He sees through the act. He knows Frank is brilliant, but he also knows Frank is lost. That gives the movie a surprisingly strong redemption story. Frank is not redeemed because the movie pretends his crimes are no big deal. He's redeemed because he eventually has to stop running and face consequences. He has to accept the fact that he can't fix his family by pretending that everything is fine. He can't become someone else forever. At some point, he has to just be Frank. No pun intended. And that is why the ending is satisfying. It does not suddenly turn him into this perfect saint. He's still someone who made a lot of bad choices, but he finds a way to use his intelligence for something good. He goes from using his gift to exploit people to using that same gift to help catch fraud. That is a really good redemption arc because it does not erase what he did, but it does show that a person's talents can be redirected. That is a very Spielberg idea, too. Broken people can still heal, and lost people can still find a way home. Christopher Walken is also great as Frank's father. His performance adds a lot of emotional weight to the movie. Frank Sr. is charming too, and you can see exactly where Frank Jr. gets it from, but he's also a man whose pride has been wounded. He wants to hold on to the image of who he used to be, even when his life is falling apart. His relationship with Frank is sweet, but also heartbreaking, because Frank keeps thinking that if he makes enough money or becomes impressive enough, he can restore his dad's life and put his family back together. But life doesn't work that way. That is one of the most painful parts of the movie. Frank is chasing something that's already gone. He's not just trying to escape the FBI. He's trying to undo his parents' divorce. He's trying to return to a version of him that no longer exists. And no matter how clever he is, no matter how many checks he forges, no matter how many uniforms he puts on, he can't con his way back into childhood. That is what gives the movie its heart. The movie also does a really good job of making Frank's cons entertaining without making them feel completely consequence-free. There is definitely a, wow, how is he getting away with this quality to it? And the movie wants you to enjoy the cleverness. But at the same time, Spielberg keeps bringing it back to the loneliness and the damage. Frank is not living a dream life, he is performing a dream life. There is a big difference. And honestly, that is one reason DiCaprio's performance is so impressive. He's not just playing a smooth criminal, he's playing a teenager pretending to be a smooth criminal. There are moments where you can see the confidence almost crack. He can fool everyone else, but there are little flashes where you remember, oh yeah, this guy's still incredibly young, he's making it up as he goes. He's brilliant, but also immature. Tom Hanks brings a lot of warmth to what could have been a very basic role. Carl easily could have just been written as a cop chasing the criminal, but Hanks makes him human. He's lonely too. He's awkward. He's divorced. His own personal life is not exactly perfect either. That creates a quiet connection between him and Frank. They're both alone in different ways, and that's why their phone calls become some of the best scenes in the movie. The movie is also just incredibly watchable throughout. It has that Spielberg pacing where even though it is over 2 hours, it never really drags. Every new con gives the story a new burst of energy. Pilot Frank, Dr. Frank, Lawyer Frank, each section feels fresh without making the movie feel episodic. It keeps building because Carl is always getting closer and Frank is always getting more desperate. A lesser version of this movie would have just said, look at how cool this con man was. Spielberg's version says, look how charming this kid was, but also look at how broken he was. That emotional difference matters. The movie lets you enjoy Frank's cleverness, but also reminds you that all of this started with pain. So overall, Catch Me If You Can is a great Spielberg movie. Leonardo DiCaprio is excellent, Tom Hanks is fantastic, Christopher Walken brings real sadness to the father-son relationship, and the whole movie has this energetic, stylish, old-school Hollywood charm. It is funny, emotional, clever, and strikingly moving. It's a fun cat-and-mouse crime movie, but also a redemption story about a young man who has to stop pretending to be everyone else before he can finally figure out who he really is. For me, it gets an A-, an 8 out of 10, and 4 out of 5 stars.